Hey, John, you're muted.
Hi.
Hi, how you
How
doing?
are I'm all right. How are you?
I just landed home from a 6-hour drive and
Oh,
2 days in
exciting.
workshop. So
So being on Zoom is exactly what you want to do.
I'm operating on very little sleep. And I forgot that the new mayor, not the
Oh,
new mayor, the new city manager is attending our meeting. So none of us are there
uh,
in person.
Oh,
yes. Oh, well. Hey, Scott.
how you doing, John?
I'm all right.
Should I get in the car and
So,
go down there?
No, you were in the car all day.
well, you can ignore my note because I wasn't sure if I was in the wrong place
No,
because
bro.
no one was here.
Oh,
But
here.
now you're here.
Mm-hmm. Thanks for picking up the mantle, John, to run tonight's meeting.
Oh, yeah. We'll see how that goes. I don't. Oh, I guess we don't know who's there from Corey's end. When you've joined in the past through Zoom, does Corey end up turning it on when sort of people are ready or?
Yeah, I mean, I don't, it's been a very long time since I
Okay.
joined
All
by
right.
Zoom. Usually I'm sitting next to Corey and figuring out
Right.
how to make it show up um, in the
Maybe
room.
that's what he's doing right now, just without
Maybe
you.
someone else is, is helping
Yeah.
right now. John, we still have to reschedule our thing.
That's true. Yes. My schedule gets a little more flexible after like in a couple weeks when a student class classes are over.
Hmm.
So yeah, that should be easy to do. All right. Hello.
Away from dinner without eating something.
I know you're a fan of exaggeration by AI.
Mm.
Oh, I
There's a
eat
good
meat all
example.
the time. I would never do
Wow.
that. My dad,
Oh, my
That's
God.
back,
how I feel.
the red hen on the wall.
I was supposed to
I just
disagree with
thought,
different.
no.
If
All
we're
right.
ready.
Hi, Corey. We have three of us joining via Zoom.
Sunday, they make the best
They're all
rye
fat.
bread.
Hear
Only
us?
Sunday. Alice's rye.
But you
Best bread, and you
haven't
can
had
get a
to say
slice
to
there.
anybody for speaking up.
All right.
They make that too, I
Do
think.
Hey,
they?
Corey. Let's get this meeting started.
Swear. Carolyn.
Can you hear us?
Right.
I can hear you.
Okay.
Can you hear us?
Yep.
Wow, where are you?
Me? Well, it's real. It's not where I sit though. It's somewhere on UVM campus.
Oh.
It's the top of Ira Allen Chapel, if you know the
And it's
campus at
not
all.
sunny right now. That's a
And
fake.
yeah, it's for these days like this where I need to pretend I'm in somewhere sunny, but I'm not.
Oh.
Well, hi everybody. I am taking David's responsibilities for today, and will try my best to chair this meeting. Um, great. So I guess I don't know if I can see, everybody on the screen here, but should we bring this meeting to order and I guess do introductions?
Mhm.
All right. I guess I'll start. There's three of us on Zoom, and then we'll go to Nancy in the room. So John Kim, member of the Complete Streets Committee. I guess voting member I'll add. And I'll hand it over to Hallie.
Holly Fowler, voting member.
Scott Richardson, voting member.
Nancy.
Nancy Scholes, voting member.
Sal Alfano, District 2 Council Rep.
Not a voting member.
Okay.
Norma.
All right.
So John, Steve Whitaker in the room.
Oh, Carolyn Grudinsky, voting member.
And
In here, yeah. Kelly McNicholas Curry, city manager. Nice to meet you.
What's your last name?
All right.
Nichols.
Nicholas.
Corey Line, staff, rep.
Nolan Carver, voting member.
Great. I'm glad you said that because Nolan, you're the one I can't see on the screen. Awesome. All right. Well, welcome to our new city manager, Kelly. All right. So does everyone have the agenda? Okay. So I guess the first order of business is to approve. We had to do both March and April minutes because we didn't have enough for, I guess, a quorum last time. Oh, we lost them. Oh, hey. Whoa. So how do we do this? Should we do it separately, I guess, right?
Yeah, do it separately because Scott and I need to recuse ourselves. We weren't there in April.
Okay, right. Okay. So I guess how do we do this? The move to
Not recuse,
approve-
but abstain from approving
Okay.
April's.
Oh, I guess, first question is someone able to take notes for this? Is that Carolyn or someone, do you know? Someone do
I'm
that?
taking notes. I am
Okay, great.
taking.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, so I guess first is to move, do I like say move to approve the March minutes?
I think we have to first approve the agenda. Do we?
Okay, first, okay, move to approve the May agenda.
Oh, how do we add something? I wanted to add something.
Yeah.
It's a good time.
Oh,
What do you
that's
wanna-
I guess,
other business at the end.
All right, I'll
Yeah.
do it at other business at the end. Okay.
okay, great.
Yeah.
All right,
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Second,
all right. So, what's sorry, I don't remember all the procedures. Do we vote on
All-
that?
Yeah,
All in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
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 You're
Anyone
talking April
against?
or?
Oh, all right. All right, so
March.
same for,
March, Carolyn.
Okay, thank
that was
you.
for the March. Yeah.
Approved.
That was the agenda that we just approved. Now
Oh,
we
that was the
now
agenda.
May
Sorry.
agenda.
now
Yes,
now
sorry.
yes, now we're approving the March minutes, right? Which Holly and I will abstain from.
All right. So,
No, we weren't there in April, Scott.
Oh, in April. Sorry, April. So yes, March we would do.
Oh
So
boy,
I'll make
we're
a
off to
motion.
rough start tonight.
I will make a
folks.
motion to approve the March minutes.
second,
all right.
Second.
All in favor of approving the March minutes?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Any against? Great. All right. Now, okay. So I guess without Holly and Scott this time, now we can move to approve the April minutes. So someone make a motion to, can I do it or
I'll
someone
make
else?
a
have to do it?
motion.
Carolyn did, Carolyn is.
Karen, great. It's anyone second? Yeah, someone?
Nolan,
Okay. Great.
And
Um,
John, a point of order, because you're not gonna have a unanimous vote, you'll have to do this one by roll call to make it official.
okay, so, okay, so
For
I guess,
virtual, a non-unanimous vote has to be done by roll call.
okay, so it's just by each person voting, saying their name? Is that essentially it?
Yeah,
All right, so all those in favor, I guess we'll start with me. John, I'm in favor of approving the April minutes. Whoever's next.
That would be fine.
to get.
I'm in favor.
Karen.
I gotta write everyone's name down. Who votes yes and no?
We've never done this before. We've never done a roll call. It's the first time for
So
everything.
Steve is right. In open meeting laws, if if you have a hybrid meeting where folks are both online and in person, if you have a vote that is not unanimous, which you do not, because you have two who are abstaining,
I have to
then you have to say
abstain
your
also.
name.
So do we
Yeah.
have enough to, I guess, in terms of numbers, to vote on this?
You only have
You
three.
know, you're gonna only have 3 affirmative votes. You'll have to
Well,
postpone this
table it.
until another day.
okay.
Okay. All right. So we'll postpone this to June. Okay. Great. All right. So now, oh, look, we're on time. Moving to the public.
It's not gonna work.
No.
You're never gonna have enough people to do it because there wasn't a quorum at the meeting.
Well, right.
So you're never gonna have a quorum.
There
to vote for
there wasn't a
minutes.
quorum at the April meeting?
Right,
Oh, then there's no need to, any minutes to approve.
right, yes.
Okay, you could.
Otherwise, we're just gonna come up every
Yeah.
month. and
Right.
it's
Oh,
never-
yeah, that's right. Unless we add people.
Since the April meeting would not be called minutes, it would just be called notes because you never had a quorum.
Okay. So is that basically just, that's for the record, that's what they are? It's not official meeting minutes? Okay, great. All right, so moving ahead. Let's see, public comment and any member announcements. So if there's any member announcements or public comment at this moment.
Well, I'll do my member announcements now. I'm helping to organize a ride with the Sierra Club. They want to do some just fun rides over the summer that aren't hardcore and aren't like my AARP rides. And they were asking if this committee wants to kind of help sponsor, which just means help get the word out and say that you're behind it. So I don't know if I wanted to see if this committee was okay with that. I'll be posting it on Front Porch Forum. It's Sierra Club, Bevins, what's her first name? Karen?
Bevan Barber Campbell.
Bevan Barber, yeah. Hers is, what's it called? Ticket to Ride. Ticket to Ride. And then I was gonna check with this committee if they wanted to be a co-sponsor. Sorry.
So do we need a quorum to support it, or can we just?
Yeah, is this
agree?
something we vote on?
I don't wanna put the name on it when Sierra Club's does the announcement until this group says they don't have a problem with that.
So, yeah, my question is though, do we need a quorum of members to?
Got me, I don't know anything about the.
I mean, in the past, we've just said verbally, yes, it's fine.
Yeah.
Fine with me.
What we're doing with Ticket to Ride, we're supporting that.
Okay.
Yeah. And we have a quorum tonight.
Okay.
So, and it doesn't matter if we're hybrid.
No.
Apparently.
Okay. So I will list Complete Streets Committee as one of the sponsors for the ride.
Sure. Is it a single time? Is there, I guess, any more info
It's
on
gonna
it?
be I think it's May 22nd, which is a Friday. It's gonna be at 10 in the morning, going to ride over to Woodbelly and come back. So we might
Okay.
take the River Road and come back on Route 2 or just do the River Road both ways.
Great.
But it's just to have just
It's
to
for
set up.
free?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
Rain or
I'm in favor of us supporting that.
Okay.
Me
It's
too,
rain
me
or
too.
shine, but if it's pouring, I don't think anyone's going on it.
Right. Okay, I think that's done then.
Okay.
All right. Any other either member announcements or public comment?
I have comments, but I figured I'd wait until after members were done. This is
Okay,
Steve Woody.
thanks. Yep, thank you. Any other member announcements? Okay. All right. Well, Stephen.
Okay, so I sent a paper to your chair anticipating he would send it out to the membership in preparation for this meeting, not realizing he wouldn't be here. And he may not have sent it out.
He sent
He
it.
did send it. Yeah.
All right, so the point is that the planning, in a nutshell, the planning commission, the Complete Streets Committee, the housing committee, all had a more favorable reception to the Country Club Road development proposals towards a firm which didn't make it through the subcommittee's recommendation, or was disqualified by a vote at the last meeting, or the letter that came out of that vote. Or the vote that was taken at the meeting prior, in executive session, I might add. But I believe it's a well-informed presumption that the attractiveness in that proposal was that it was the closest thing to a walkable village master plan, which the committee so far refuses to embrace the need for. And I have argued repeatedly that we cannot do a project that supports the civic, especially the civic programming, which is not planned at all and is not the developer's responsibility. They put out an RFP for housing, and the civic programming of the recreation, the community centers, the transportation, the multimodal infrastructure, the design, resilience, emergency preparedness infrastructure, all of that needs to be done in a master plan. And so, having disqualified the one that most people who spoke in support of, I believe now is a good time for the three committees to argue that a master plan should precede a developer selection. That's the way the law is written as well. And the Planning Commission, the Complete Streets Committee, the Housing Committee have been disenfranchised from that planning process. So I have prepared a paper explaining that. The cover letter that went to Alyssa of the Housing Committee, chair of the Housing Committee, also hit on a point that's not in the paper, which is a demonstration project like that of a replicable model near a downtown, within multimodal distance of a downtown, that deals with resilient utilities and multimodal transportation, basically a less car dependent settlement pattern, would likely be attractive for grants, federal and philanthropic grants. So I would encourage you to read the paper. I believe it's titled A Forewarning and an Invitation. File name might say wake up in it, but and speak up. See if you can put it on the agenda for a meeting sooner than later. But right now they've shifted the timing and they're intending to lean on the council to select a developer in May, or no,
Who's the
June.
they? Who's the they?
The sales subcommittee.
Okay, the country club subcommittee, what's it called?
Yep.
Zero something.
And try to sign a developer agreement before the White and Burke contract runs out in October. They're under a 1-year contract with a conflict of interest that may preclude federal funds. So it's worth getting up to speed on this, because this committee's charge and statutory responsibilities or statutory focus would be unusually central to the design of that master plan. So I'll leave it at that and speak to you individually if you want questions answered. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
John, I just remembered something, just in case anybody didn't know, I don't know if it's the Bike Walk or Walk Bike Summit is Friday. It's in Bennington. Just in case I didn't know.
Oh, that's kind of far. I want these closer.
Isn't the co-op doing something?
May 15th, free breakfast.
Free breakfast?
Ride your bike.
Oh, that's the Ticket to Ride event at the co-op.
Yeah, I'm riding my bike. Ride your bike to the co-op, free breakfast.
My bikes are still in Colorado.
Oh, get one at free ride. That's
Don't
where
feel-
it's going
don't
to.
feel-
All right, and Corey, is that sorry, did you say the date of that or?
Friday, so
Okay.
Eight.
A really reasonable price.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, John, just a note.
Yes.
When you're not speaking, it might be good to mute because we're getting a lot of your tapping, and Carolyn is taking notes, I think.
You can hear the tapping of my notes?
No, I can hear John's tapping.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. I will stop typing.
You can focus on running the meeting, and Carolyn can take the minutes.
Okay. All right. So if we don't have any more public comment and member announcements, we'll move to the agenda items. All right. So first, we have we get an introduction and discussion with our new city manager, Kelly McNicholas Curry. Is that how you say your last name?
Yeah, nice job.
Great. Well, welcome to the Complete Streets Committee. Yeah, we're glad you could be here.
All right, great. Happy to be here. I'm the new city manager. I started mid-February. So I'm kind of coming up here on 3 months almost. And it's been a busy, interesting 3 months. I haven't had the opportunity to engage with many of you yet and the city council. I think you all had some work in front of the council just prior to my arrival with East State Street. And so I'm coming up to speed on a lot of different topics and a lot of different committees. The city has, over 24 different committees and boards, and I've been trying to get to many of them. And we have been working with the council to identify support to those committees that maybe have phased out of their work and are retiring, or potential combination of some of those committees, which I understand you all may talk about a little bit later today. And some of the work has been focusing on council's strategic plans around housing, the Country Club Road project, of which the city disagrees with a lot of it, what Mr. Whitaker has presented, and I'll leave it at that. But we're moving forward toward, I think, what will be a positive project and selection of a partner developer here in the coming months. And the subcommittee has been doing lots of intense and thoughtful work in that way. We have spent time looking at our outdoor recreation economy and speaking with council about how to sort of clarify further vision around that as an economic pillar for the community. And that's something that definitely engages and involves the work of the Complete Streets Committee. We will have a public outreach campaign here in the coming months and years as we further clarify specifics around that vision for the community. And then a lot of work on homelessness. So as the weather has gotten warmer and folks have had fewer shelter opportunities, the impacts directly in the community have been more directly felt. And so working with a lot of partners and service providers and internal staff departments on how we address that topic has been taking a lot of time. So those are a lot of the things that I'm working on that are very public facing. And then, of course, behind the scenes work around negotiating a fire union contract and hiring staff and rebuilding teams is also going on every day as well. So those are, I think, some of the highlights of what the city manager's office is doing. There's definitely eagerness internally for everyone to get back to more of regular feeling of kind of being in their lanes and less overwhelm, I think, from the last year that's had a lot of disruption. And so I think as we get more of our positions filled, that will help as well. Just a little bit about me. So I moved out here from Colorado. I lived up in the Rocky Mountains. I was a commissioner in Pitkin County, and Aspen is the city that's the county seat. Similarly sized to Montpelier, about
That sounds
8,000.
nice.
It is nice.
Yeah, I've been to Aspen.
Yeah,
Not
it's a
skiing.
beautiful place.
Summertime.
The mountains were a bit bigger, but similar long winters and lots of outdoor recreation and conservation values and
Housing issues.
multimodal
Yeah.
uses and housing issues. And so a lot of similarities between there and here. And I worked there for 13 years. I've been in local government for most of my career. And before that, I was in the Peace Corps in West Africa. And then before that, I worked for the Sierra Club in New Jersey. I have a lot of family on the East Coast and the Northeast. So this is, even though I've lived in Colorado for 17 years, this is a bit heading closer to home, by being in Vermont. This is my first time living in Vermont, and it's been lovely. I like Montpelier a lot. I think it's a good fit. My children will join me here in the summer. They're finishing school up in Colorado, and so we'll be moving them and my belongings, which are all still in Colorado, including my bikes, in June. So looking forward to getting more settled.
We'll have more rides later in the summer.
Good. And yes, I've not taken up on the e-bike popularity yet. I like still in the analog world of biking. And that's something we enjoy doing with the family quite a lot, in a way that we generally get home around town, at least out in Colorado, because there was quite a bit of traffic, much more than I have seen at all in Vermont. There was a lot, because we had a lot of commuter traffic coming in to service the resort.
Right.
In Aspen, so probably some more similar dynamics to what I hear about Stowe, and what you all experience here in Montpelier. But, yeah, that's a little bit about me. I'm happy to answer questions, and I'll sit and listen and jump in wherever you want to.
You found a place to live yet?
I am under contract for a house.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'll be living over in the Meadows.
That's
I'm
good
looking forward
news.
to that. Yeah, my kids are very excited to walk and bike everywhere.
Flat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that'll be good.
Holly has a question.
Yeah, nice to meet you. I'm just curious, out there, did they have a Complete Streets Committee? Is this something that you have encountered before, the concepts of complete streets, and if you have experience working with complete streets and committees like ours?
So I don't want to presume that I know how you all are defining complete streets. It might be more expansive than I think, what maybe we would have referred to it in my community in Colorado. There was a lot of integration of, multimodal opportunities, and a lot of integration of trails through neighborhoods, through commuter sheds. A lot of attention on our local rural transit system and first and last mile connections, so that if you wanted to live without a car, in the transportation region, there was a lot of effort towards trying to make that happen. So you could either, take a bike share from your neighborhood to connect you to a rapid transit bus stop, hop on the bus and commute to a different town, pick up the bike share again to get to your place of work, or similar rail lines that have been converted into long bike routes that people would use for recreation or commuting purposes. There was a lot of integration of those types of uses with our open space and trails programs that both the municipalities and the county had. So we have big county government in Colorado, which, doesn't exist in Vermont, but, work to serve, to connect the places between municipalities. And, there was a lot of public funding support for our parks and rec trail systems, our rural transportation authority. So yeah, I think that, there was a lot of attention towards it. There was a lot of attention towards it being like all, 4-season use, a lot of fat bike trails and use of fat bikes on our kind of commuter trails in the off years as well. E-bikes got very popular over the last 4 years. We've had to address kind of the regulations around e-bikes in a shared, on trails that were shared. So yeah, I think I have a good amount of familiarity. I think I have a sense that maybe complete streets might go a little bit farther here as far as your considerations relative to like locations of trash cans and integration of ADA accessibility than perhaps was really called out, I think, in our efforts. That's where I was.
Yeah, I would just offer that um, uh, we are following state statute actually as well, right? So it is defined. It's not up to us necessarily to define, though we do have responsibility for the furniture zone, as it's called. So that's what you're referring to with the trash cans and the like, because it does matter for folks trying to navigate the sidewalks. We've certainly had conversations recently about the balance of promoting businesses downtown with their sandwich boards, but also what does that mean for folks trying to walk or use a wheelchair on the sidewalk and needing to also feel like they are safe and have the space to do that. Um, yeah, so just to offer that there are some pieces to this that are mandated by the state in terms of the work that we do here, which is not always the case every place with complete streets.
Yeah, I think that is definitely a distinction. I think they would show up, these goals would show up more in like master plans and comprehensive plan documents than not a state mandate in Colorado.
Do others have questions?
No question. I was just going to mention that I'm also a returned Peace Corps volunteer, so that's nice to hear.
Where did you, sorry,
In Morocco,
cool. I was in Niger.
I was wondering if you
nearly neighbors.
did the Peace Man has lived there like 20 years now.
Uh,
Yeah, actually, Vermont has a high number of returned Peace Corps volunteers.
sure does.
Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you for joining us and sharing about yourself and your work. Are there any final questions for Kelly?
Did I miss anything, Sal?
I'm sorry,
Did I miss anything?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, I'll stay and hang out and listen to the conversation a little later. And thank you for hosting me.
Could I offer one other fact that I think it's important for our committee to Kelly, which is let's see, I joined this committee in 2020, I think, and we used to have a budget. Our committee used to have a budget of 5,000 that was funded through the parking fees, and I don't remember what it was actually called back then, but it's whatever money comes in from parking. And I understand that parking has been running a deficit for quite some time here in the city, but it was suspended during COVID, which meant that any committee that benefited from that, their budget also went away. It came back briefly in 2023, right before the flood. So we had a chance to do some things and purchase some equipment and materials that then were living in Corey's office in the basement of City Hall, and for the most part were lost at that point. And we've not had the budget returned since. And so I would say that that's an ongoing challenge for us as a committee in terms of what we can accomplish and do. And we continue to ask for funding, but in a pattern of austerity measures, we've never been granted any budget to return. So I think that's important historical note for you as the city manager to know that you have a committee, but one that, like some others, does not receive any kind of support, because you mentioned that in some of your experience with Complete Streets, they enjoyed a lot of support, and be that, I don't know, financial or otherwise. But that is a challenge for us in terms of what we can do sometimes. And we are stymied because as a city committee, we don't necessarily qualify as a nonprofit. So in order to go after grants, we can't go after grants unless the city goes after the grant with us for the most part. And we have had experiences of asking for that support for grants that we've been told we're well positioned for, that would be in service to the city, and been told that there's not capacity to support that. So I think all of that's kind of important history for you to know of what our experience has been in terms of funding and support to this committee as well. And I invite any of my fellow members on the committee to correct anything I've said or elaborate if you have a different version of it.
I guess I'm just wondering, as a new member on this committee, I'm looking at screen, whatever. What sort of things were cut from Complete Streets when the funding ended? When you were, after you stopped getting 5,000 a year?
I can
what
answer that.
programs? Okay,
So one of the things that we devoted money to from our budget was the purchase of those reflective Velcro attached arm
Yeah.
and leg bands.
Yeah.
And we'd given them out on multiple occasions. One time we gave them out here at City Hall on Election Day, and we were giving them out for free to voters. Another time we gave them out at town meeting day.
yeah,
Another time we took a chunk of money, it was $300 and some, and we gave it to the middle school because they had some, I don't know if you were with us at that point, Holly, but they had some initiative. I think it might have been similar things, like to purchase
yeah,
bands so that kids were traveling to and from school in a safer fashion. And the plan was that we gave it to them in the spring, and they were going to come back to us in June and report on how many of the bands were used and how they were used. And then COVID hit. So we must have given it to them in
Oh.
late winter
yeah.
as COVID hit in March. And everything, everything went away. So
I didn't know if there were like any events or anything that stopped happening because of the funding, but it was for purchases.
well, yeah,
We could
it
be
was-
it was for the bike rodeo and for other events that are education and advocacy for safe routes to school. We could be enabling the capacity to help facilitate that because that's gone away. It's mostly to engage others who have been licensed bicycle experts and the like to support us, but also to be able to have available the equipment to do things like teaching someone how to ride, or there's a variety of things that we could be doing that we aren't doing because we don't have the budget to do them.
those were some of the things that we've used the money for more recently.
Yeah.
I was talking like
Yeah.
a further more distant past.
If I could have just, so Holly, it sounded to me like there was a budget of 5,000, but then there were grants where that required matching funds that you would.
Yeah, a lot of grants require matching funds that we don't have.
And did you ever get matching funds, or have you never gotten matching funds from the city? I'm just curious. You never have.
Not in my tenure.
Yeah.
We haven't been able to go after a grant, Sal, and we can't go after a grant autonomously. We have to go through city council. So, and then we're told that DPW is doing it, or we have to go to Montpelier Alive, which is fine. We've recently submitted a grant and supported their grant for crosswalks, and tried to inform that. But we've gone after funds from National Life, which previously was the only bike certified business in Montpelier, but they told us that we were, too small. So, because we weren't putting on events the size of Montpelier Alive, but we can't put on events the size of Montpelier Alive. So we're kind of stuck in this cycle of not big enough and no funding to do anything to get big enough to garner the
July
grants.
3rd? Are we talking big enough like July 3rd? I'm just wondering.
Oh, they didn't elaborate. They just
Yeah.
we're not doing the festivals at the size that Montpelier Alive is, clearly.
Oh, I'm only saying that because I was the events coordinator for 2.5 years then.
Yeah, you were dwarfing us, Carolyn.
No, I don't see why this should be any different. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I appreciate that. They saw it differently.
And Holly, I would just answer your question a little bit. I mean, the organization I worked in prior, our committee structure was different. The committees were, they had some sort of maybe not necessarily different from this one, but maybe different from some of the other committees that Montpelier has, but there was a very clear sort of regulatory nexus to the committees that existed. And that might be a number of different things. So for example, there was a weed advisory board that advised on noxious weeds because the county had to have a noxious weed plan that was required by the state. And so interested citizens served on that board. Or we had a dedicated tax fund that included enabling language that required an advisory committee on how to spend those dollars, or similar to like the DRB here, like a planning and zoning commission that reviewed and updated regulations around planning and zoning in the city. So just, I think a little bit different in the sense that things in the community that were more interest-based, worked outside of the government, not as a committee of the government, and usually would obtain funding through things like our community fund, similar to what you have here, or partnerships, with nonprofits. I think it's just a little bit different on how some of the committees function in Montpelier from what I'm used to doing.
It was, it was when Holly mentions the committee had a budget and received funding, it was a line in the overall city budget that was meant for things that this committee was doing.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't, okay, we're giving you $5,000 Complete Streets Committee. It was Complete Streets Committee, please make a line item for these items. And like Holly said, I think 2022 or 2023 was the last time that was.
2023 was the last time in the last 6 years.
Right.
It's something most committees do at budget time is, make a request for specific
Plan items.
items, yeah.
Thank you.
All right, moving along. So there's next bit is on sort of checking on, there's a bunch of action items from the last meeting, one of which includes checking on updates on member terms and the co-chair rotation. So just kind of walking through that list. Corey, get my approval to City Council. I believe I saw some communication that was all squared away. Is that, I think, right, Corey?
Yep, I think you're all set, John.
Yeah. David to invite city manager, attend future meeting, all set.
There were a couple of other, I think we settled everything. There was a couple questions about some term limits. I think everything got settled.
Okay.
I can't remember who it was. I think it was Holly or Scott had a question about when they were up, but I think we're all squared away.
I never heard there were term limits. Are there?
I think they're
You mean expiration date.
Sorry?
3 years. I think they were.
Well, then,
They're all the same.
Well,
Wait.
length of term versus term limit. Right, I think.
so,
Terms are 2 years now.
Maybe it's 2 years. Yeah.
okay, but in the sense of, there is no time
Term
at
limit.
which- Right.
There's no
there is
term limits.
In terms of you must exit the committee if you've been on X years.
I don't think so.
Okay,
think
I
they
mean,
want
I've never
people
heard
as
that.
long as they.
I've never heard that. And I've been on over 8 years now, so. I'd
Oh,
like to
no,
know.
right. Oh, no, yeah. Yeah. I see what you're saying. Yes. You're right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right, we're good. John.
I did notice that Nolan, it looks like Nolan would be the next one. That would be
Yes.
Yeah,
In June, Nolan.
Next month.
yeah. I'm gonna do some thinking and come back to you on that one.
Okay.
Next month. Yeah.
Yeah, next month.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Next item was for David. Looking for written guidance on the city council liaison expectations. I don't know what the link. I didn't read that.
So
link
I
yet.
can speak, John, I can speak to that.
Okay.
So I had actually asked, not knowing what your expectations are or our expectations are for the liaison. You know, we operated for years before we found out we were supposed to have somebody. And then we found out, you know, we had Corey, and then Corey started to come to our meetings, which was huge improvement. But then you were assigned, I guess, right? Or did you,
Yeah.
did you request us?
Yeah. I did actually. I mean, we reassign every year. Well, we review and reassign every year, so. Particularly when there's a change in council members,
I'm sorry?
particularly when there's a change in
Oh,
council.
okay, makes
members,
sense.
Yeah,
But I requested that because I am personally not clear as to what, I'm assuming it's valuable, it is valuable to have a city council member come to our meetings because you're our conduit, right? On a regular basis to the council. I mean, we get invited once a year to speak to the council, and report on what we've been up to, I guess. But to have someone from the council actually here, is helpful. But, and I don't mean this as a slam, but you're not at every meeting.
Yeah,
And
no,
I know you've got
I've
like
kind of
council
resolved
meetings,
those, yeah, those
subcommittee
conflicts,
meetings,
yeah.
you've got like a zillion
Well,
meetings.
yeah.
So I just asked if there was a document that spelled out what, you know, this is what the committee provides to the city council liaison. This is what the city council liaison responsibilities are to the committee. And David sent this, which I did read, but I didn't see anything in it that spelled that out.
Well, yeah, this is the new committee, when the committees were reviewed, they came up with it was a subgroup that did it, of staff, I think. And they came up with an organizational system. And the goal was to reduce the number. We thought we had some committees that were languishing. We had maybe more committees than we needed. Maybe some committees could be combined. I mean, I know there was some suggestion, for example, that ADA would be.
Or
something
MTIC with us.
Yeah, exactly. So they came up with this document, and there is a section on, although I don't think have we fully edited this?
So you all fully edited,
Yeah.
well, you all turned it back to me to sort of streamline and clarify.
Yeah.
And then also submit out to the committees for input. And so that's our recent work on this, is to provide a policy so all committees know, you know, what the expectations of council are when we're reporting out. There's a lot of shifts that are being contemplated in committees. For example, when we talked about terms, council wants to see 2-year appointments and then reapplying so that it opens up the opportunity for new people to apply. Reports out annually from each committee. Identifying what types of committees there are, so whether they're like regulatory committees, whether they're advisory committees, whether they're advocacy committees, and how that affects the work.
Do we have has the final
No,
version?
we're
It
not-
hasn't
we
been
don't
sent
have
out
the
yet.
final yet.
Will the final version though spell out?
Well, yeah, it will, and just what's included in this draft, it's a little confusing as it's written, but we're making those changes. I mean, for the whole time I've been, until this document came out, I had no idea whether I had a vote in any committee or just some committee. It was confusing and I couldn't get a good answer. The city liaison has no vote in any committee, as it turns out. So we're strictly a liaison from the council to the committee, and there's back and forth there. It's we can see if there's something you're doing that we're interested in supporting, or that's in conflict with something we're doing, or that we initiate something that the committee's been talking about, so we can avoid those kind of conflicts, or we can enhances sort of collaboration where the interests coincide. Um, there's a history to why staff or council members are assigned to committees, and if you've got a half an hour, you can talk to Jim Sheridan about it. There was one incident in particular where a committee made a decision to have something done that it cost the city, 40 grand to
Oh
undo.
my God.
And no one knew about it because it had to do with some granite plaques out on by the flagpole. Anyway, so the idea was to have someone from the council or from staff on every committee so that that kind of thing didn't happen. But the main goal is just closer cooperation and collaboration so that the council knows what the committees are doing and the committees have a entree into a direct connection with the council.
Well, the specific reason I asked is because if one of us who's a member misses 3 consecutive meetings, we're off.
Mhm.
We're off the committee. And
I didn't know that.
yeah, so I just wondered, was there a similar provision for our liaison? Like if you were technically our liaison, but we're like mostly not here,
Yeah,
is there a provision that says, hey, we get another liaison or something?
yeah,
instead,
there
or-
should be.
I mean, it just seems like if it's only window dressing, it has no value.
Right, yeah,
But, if the person who's the council member actually is here on a consistent basis, then, I think there's mutual value. But if the person isn't here on a consistent basis, then the person doesn't know what's going on. I mean, yes, you can read minutes, but I don't think that has the same, it definitely is so condensed that it gives you a flavor of what happened, but, it does not include
sure.
the depth of
No,
the
it makes-
discussion.
It makes good sense. I mean, we probably ought to introduce something like that, I would think. Yeah.
I mean, I think the mutual value of alignment and trying to get, council and committee and work, and staff working in alignment is really the goal of this policy for all the committees. I'm not sure there's the same accountability measures for a council member not showing up as there are for a committee member not showing up. You
Well-
can't dismiss Sal as a council person. Because
Well, I just made the
Um,
point that if 3 meetings in a row is 3
Yeah.
consecutive meetings, not 3 meetings in a year, but 3 consecutive meetings is a quarter of the year.
Yeah.
So,
John, can I comment on this?
Sure. Just a minute, just because, so we stay.
No,
On
it's
track.
not long, it's short. I'll just tell you the parallel process in the Regional Planning Commission is the committees can recommend, the committees can develop their own rules of procedure, but those have to be adopted by the full commission. The committee, probably the city council or something like that would have to approve a rule that says you get kicked off after 3 missed meetings. That's kind of a arbitrary and capricious, especially in that it doesn't apply to a appointed city council member. So that might be worth considering, is that if you're gonna, you coordinate with Kelly and see whether all the committees should create their own rules of procedure, or how far afield should they go. But that would deal with issues like the proposed term limits too. That's all I had to say.
Oh, and I don't think anybody was proposing term limits. I think that was just the term that was used in this
Okay.
recently. Anyway, okay, thank you. All right, let's keep moving along so we don't run out of time. Corey, next, providing a DPW response to East State Street memo. Anything there?
Yeah, we owe that to you guys.
Okay.
We'll get it to you before your next meeting.
Okay, so
You can-
for the June meeting. All right, next was David following up with Alec and Cassia, but he's not here. Carolyn to ask Montpelier Live for AARP grant application.
I sent it to everybody. Katie responded and sent me the application, and I'll ask Scott where to put it in all the files. But I did send it as an email. Did people not get it?
I got
I
it.
forwarded the message to the whole committee.
I got it, and I think I already filed it under projects and
did?
under the specific project it went to. So
Great. Okay.
Great.
Can we just go, John, can we just go back for a sec? Could somebody just say one sentence about what, I understand David's not here, but what is meant by? So Kasia from the Vermont River Conservancy and Vermont Parks Commission, I'm assuming. Right?
Yes, but I don't
But-
really exactly remember what that would something about like a potential. Actually, I don't remember. I don't recall exactly.
it should be in our minutes. It should be in the minutes from April.
The April notes.
The April notes. Sorry.
Let's see. All right.
It looks like we were being asked for suggestions for improvements to Elm Street for safer biking.
Amen. Well, there's a paving job coming up. Is there a schedule yet for Elm Street?
Not yet.
So I'll just push that to the next meeting.
Yes, that'd be good.
There wasn't a note in here. I'll just say that it was and maybe Corey, you might have advised this in the April meeting, was that the Complete Streets Committee could seek grant funding prior to work on Elm Street.
I think this mostly had to do with Alec and the Parks Commission were working towards potentially a new recreation path to take the place of the bike lanes and the sidewalk that go out Elm Street now. And then we had talked about potentially trying to find maybe some funds to do some kind of minimal scoping or something that identified it maybe as an amendment to the bike and ped plan because it doesn't exist. And then when, the right time to do it would be when the state comes through and paves Route 12, whenever that is. If we have our ducks in a row, if we have that, that scoping, that identification in place, then there's a good chance that they could cover it underneath a paving project like that. So I think that's what the grant funding was all about.
So we're talking like from Birch Grove out toward North Branch Nature Center, that part of it.
I think so. You have to, Alec and, the Parks Commission has a plan.
Is DPW and the Parks Commission working collectively on existing any grant opportunities?
Not at the moment. Right now, it's just really conceptual and no.
Okay.
But they do have a bike. I wonder, don't they have a bike pedestrian type person on the state highways do they review all the projects? I don't know what that title is. They did at one time.
Yeah, no, there's a V-Trans bike coordinator.
Right. Since it's kind of a state highway, I wonder if that's part of their role to look at shared uses.
Yeah, they would review it upon our request.
Okay.
If it's something that's in our plans and we say, hey, you're doing this project, this is what we want to see, then that's when they would review.
Yeah.
So Corey, if I'm hearing you correctly, DPW is not looking at that as part of its plan, only if Parks and or Complete Streets comes with it comes with a recommendation to DPW.
Not necessarily. We've offered Parks assistance if they need it, whether it's trying to find transportation money to cover some kind of scoping or anything like that. So really, we've been working with Alec and Parks Department, just trying to identify if we can help them.
Okay. Is there, I guess we'll wait till the next meeting. I just don't want to miss, is there some kind of timeline, Corey, that we should be aware of so that we don't end up in a situation that we often end up as a committee, which is if we had said something at a time earlier, we could have done it. So is there a time by which we need to, as a committee, work with parks and make a recommendation? If we wait a month, are we going to miss some kind of opportunity and then it will be gone again?
So no, that a state project like that, to be prepared for it, it's probably 5 years out, something like that.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's move that to next, if there's an update from Alec and Cassie, from David. All right, so next, Carolyn, organizing table at the Muddy Onion. Passed, so just
That didn't happen. I'll take it out
Okay.
because I was the only one that was gonna volunteer and it was 11 to 4, so I wasn't gonna do it alone.
Okay, great.
Didn't happen.
Okay. ADA committee status and answer from Sal.
Yeah, I think I sent a note. I don't know, I can't remember what I said. At the time, it was, committee was on hold, but I've since discovered it's been moved. It's been, moved back into planning, hasn't it? Or ADA?
So the ADA committee, we've absorbed into staff,
Yeah.
because when this committee was initially created, it was required under federal law that because we didn't have a dedicated staff role, we needed to have a committee, appointed by the board, the council, working on this. So we now have a facilities, person who is responsible for ADA elements of at least city projects and facilities, but I don't think that that precludes this scope of that work from your committee at all. It's just not functioning as a standalone committee that is only focused on that topic.
I'm confused just in terms of note taking.
So the city is no longer required to have an ADA committee like it once was,
Oh.
because we now have a staff role.
Okay,
So Chris Lumber,
Yeah.
who is the
right.
chair of the ADA, will, continue to.
But he's a staff person, it's not a
but
committee.
he's on staff now, so
Okay.
there was overlap there.
Got it.
I would
Okay.
say there's a number of committees that need to integrate ADA needs into its thinking. The homelessness committee being one, housing another. This committee might integrate, ADA considerations into your work as well, but it's not expressly as a standalone committee of the city anymore.
Okay. Next item, the bicycle-friendly community, a communications plan, feedback from a webinar. It doesn't have a name attached to it, so
It's me.
is that okay?
Yeah, and I think I provided the feedback from the webinar last time. It's just the entire
okay.
thing got carried through. But I will say, as most of you know, I've been dragging my heels because we received the renewal of our bicycle-friendly committee bronze status on the heels of East State Street, and it felt very difficult to cascade, communicate, promote the fact that we are a bicycle-friendly community in that particular context. But I do think it's something that, it was no small feat to resubmit that application. We were awarded bronze status again. And so now that it is Bike Month, National Bike Month, I would say that I'm prepared to put a note out there and on Front Porch Forum, and to also ask Evelyn to promote it. If folks are still up for promoting the fact that Montpelier was awarded bronze status by the League of American Bicyclists. Do we still feel like we can put that out in the world?
Totally, of course.
I think so.
Is there any other? Go ahead,
I don't
Nancy.
I don't see any problem to putting anything about Bike Ped on Front Porch Forum. I think maybe some of you have noticed I've started to post on behalf of us
Mm-hmm.
per David asking me to do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think at least the first post generated multiple posts from other people. just chiming in about one thing or another. And I think that's good, just to get
Okay.
it and raise the consciousness.
But I would
Okay.
also add, because the co-op's doing that whole bike for free breakfast and stuff. I would talk, and I'm happy to do that myself, to talk to them that they should be promoting that our community is a bronze as well. So,
Yeah, and Bevan is definitely clued into that, and we're also helping to promote that. That's under events, I think. But
okay,
yes, but I hear you. Yes, I guess we need to embrace it and promote it. We have the communication tools from League of American Bicyclists to do that. And I share that so that Councilor Member Sal, City Manager Kelly, that you hear that as well, that Montpelier was rewarded our bronze status by the League of American Bicyclists, but now we have to live up to that, and bronze is not good enough for the future. So,
Well, we
Great.
have a communications team that loves to celebrate these kinds of things. So if it's helpful to promote that out in the community, just let us know.
yeah, that's a good thing for Evelyn to put out for May.
she'll be ready and willing to do that. I know she is.
All right, great. Next, annual report to City Council. Is I guess when is that a certain meeting of the year, or I know you've been involved with those Holly in the past.
Yeah. Usually I lean on Corey to advise us when the right time
Okay.
is to do that. But we have traditionally done it around June, I feel like, Corey.
Yeah, I think I remember a spring update at one point.
Is there any particular time, Sal, Corey, that you advise that we give the update? Is there a new schedule for committees to give their annual updates so that it's not just us, obviously?
No, that's under discussion because there are a couple of dozen committees. We can't have everybody reporting at the same time, so we wanted to come up with a schedule, which we have not done yet. We've also asked for, I think we're asking for over reporting. We've asked for quarterly reports, have we not? At least that has come up.
I don't think you have finalized that request. So again, as part of this alignment around committees' work, there's interest, which has not been adopted, but because it's still a work in progress, but there's interest on having just a form that committees would fill out that would advise of whether you met the last quarter, had a quorum, what you talked about, progress on an annual plan, and that would get submitted to council. Again, none of that has been operationalized yet at this point. And so, you know, I don't think anything has changed yet from what you've done in the past. There continues to be an interest from the council for an annual report from the committees, again, to achieve that alignment of, is the committee working on the, you know, the things that council would like to hear from the committee about that make the most sense for council's forthcoming work for the year, is the goal with that. So I think if you want to do an annual report, it makes sense to get that scheduled at this point. It might look different next year.
Could you clarify what you just said? Because it suggested that city council should be setting our agenda for the year and annual expectations, not our committee. Could you say more about that?
The expectation, so council wants to work with you on what that is, because what we want to avoid is committees working on things that they bring to council that are then a surprise to council. Or council is not, it's not aligned with necessarily what council is looking for in terms of their work. And so that has been some of the discussion relative to, you know, helping support committees and giving direction. Now, you know, I will note, committees work in different ways, and your committee falls a little bit more in an advocacy realm where there is a group of community members who have ideas and have goals and want council to adopt and implement those goals. So the direction runs a little bit differently. So we want to make sure that we're aligned on that, because what I've been told is that there have been times where committees have presented work to council and council's reaction has not been supportive. And that's that's not positive for anybody. And so being able to check in on the annual plan and then have updates on how that annual plan is working is with the goal of making sure that everyone's working most productively together.
I find that comment a little alarming, so I'm just gonna step back and process that, because I don't know if it's really directed at us or less functioning committees, or what the case might be. But I think that we have a mandate, and that's why we exist, and we are meant to be advisors, not simply advocacy. So I just want to make sure that how we exist and why we exist and what we think our mandate is independent still of what happens to be the existing city council's agenda for the year. I'm a little concerned about that statement. So,
and don't read too much into it. I mean, those could be my misalignment of words here, being brand new and not fully understanding what your committee does. Because of course, there's committees that have full regulatory authority that's completely distinct from council as well. And there's committees where council has created committees because they expressly want and need their work and advice and input on certain things. And so it's just a variety of different ways that committees operate, and trying to provide some direction on how they all come before council and how council makes sure that their input and their hard work is, again, in alignment, I think is what makes the most sense.
So team, would we, it seems like we should at least prepare an annual report since our last one, even if it's in writing. And we can always submit it, even if it's not presented at city council, but we could at least prepare it so that Sal could review it. And then we can determine whether or not we, depending on what the timeline is for the schedule to be set, we can wait for that, or perhaps it's going to be that our annual report is simply written and not presented because there's not a schedule for committees to present yet.
Yeah, and I think if you want to come before council, we definitely have space on future agendas to do that as soon as the end of May or in June. There's no, there's no reason to not what you have done in the past. We're sort of in the midst of this reevaluation and organization around committees.
Okay. All right.
Holly, if I could just clarify, I don't think that the counselor who initially raised the issue, I don't think had a particular committee in mind. The council itself has tried to focus our sort of strategic plan more so that it's more concise. I mean, we used to have a strategic plan that listed like 9 goals for the year. It was much too much. So we focused it down, and the sort of general idea here was just to make sure that the committees were not misaligned, let's put it that way, with what the overall, the overarching council goals were, which are, extremely focused. But, this is an extremely active committee that, as Kelly says, really advocates to the council. And that's not something that we want to interfere with, really. We want to encourage that. So I would say, and I personally don't want to put an extra burden on committees to, with the formal reporting. So the idea was, if we came up with some sort of form that would just keep the city apprised at regular intervals, that was easy to complete, and whether there's, in addition to that, there's an annual report. I'm not sure what that would look like, but it doesn't have to be, Wuthering Heights. It can be an outline form.
I'll
what
get
the
that in a
goals-
minute.
What the goals were. So,
That's
um,
helpful, Sal. And I appreciate the outline that Kelly gave of what those items might eventually be, because that also helps us to start thinking and making sure that we can include those as well. So I appreciate that.
yeah, and until we have a schedule, I would say do what you've been doing in terms of an annual report, and hopefully we'll have a schedule before fall.
Okay.
I know, I just mentioned, I know we're getting towards the end, but I think it's worth.
Yeah.
I think it's worth with Kelly here, that this committee has sort of been going through a transition here lately. And you'd almost think of it as an advocacy to an advisory. In fact, I think if you look at the charge, the term advocacy is used. Not necessarily, maybe advisory is too, but just from attending and trying to assist, I have noticed that when I first started compared to now, it does seem like there's a transition going on. And I think maybe that has to do a lot with the Transportation Advisory Committee going away. And we had conversations about that a while ago, about this committee taking on that. So it's a strange time.
I think it also reflects the amount of time various members of the committee have been on the committee. You know, in the beginning, when people are just starting in their first year or two, they're not as vocal and they're not as, deep into the advocacy. But if we now have people like Scott and Holly and David, who have been here a long time and are, getting deeper into certain things. David with East State Street and Holly with, grant writing and the bike rodeo and various things. So I think that's also why.
Great.
John, can I
Yeah.
speak to this briefly? I'll be brief.
Very brief, please. Yeah.
Yeah, I raised this at the planning commission. This committee really has a planning role because of the statute that backs the responsibilities of this committee. And that's an area where in some ways the committee's better at it than the city staff. And so integrating the planning role of this committee, both with the planning commission and their responsibility under statute for capital budgeting, is the direction we ought to be heading. Our capital budgeting is not compliant with statute either, but that's really where the money meets the road, so to speak. Is there money for crosswalks, for lighting, for bike lanes? And if not, why not? And so y'all are almost, even though you're not a statutory committee like the planning commission, you've got a statutory responsibility that has to interact with the staff, probably through the council and the city manager. You won't have leverage directly with Public Works.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. So we're 3 minutes over. So I guess we feel like we can cover the rest next, if we're okay with extending for say 10 minutes, and we feel like we can cover the rest in that time. Are people good to stay on for 10 more minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And the other point I would just last point around the reporting on with the form. It seems like our minutes achieves a lot of that in terms of did we meet, did we have a quorum, what did we talk about? So just pointing that out where I think rather than creating more new work, that those could serve that purpose too. All right. Expectations for City Council rep. We talked about that. Status of merger with Transportation Advisory Committee.
It seems like that's under review.
Okay, great.
I guess at the last meeting, the TAC is no longer. It's officially gone.
It's dissolved, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I don't think officially this committee has been given a different role or new tasks, but officially that the other committee is gone.
So I'm
Okay.
sorry, since that, well, at times it was called Montpelier Transportation Infrastructure
It's
Committee.
the same thing.
Right. So does that mean that we get to absorb the infrastructure part, the bricks and mortar?
That's a conversation for you guys to have. I think the opportunity is there if
Well, I think
there's interest.
I think we'd want it because in the past, sometimes our hands were slapped or, That's an MTech or MTAC. You have to do education advocacy. You can't. And then, didn't seem like they were doing it. And so whenever we did do it, like the parking meter hitches, definitely bricks and mortar, there wasn't a problem. So I wouldn't.
We all voted to agree to it, Nancy, too. When
We did.
we as a committee have already accepted to take that on as responsibility, but then it was stymied again.
So if they're no longer in existence, it seems like there's a void that we can just step into.
So let me put a little, can I recommend a little structure on how that might be most effective? If I could, okay. Because we're in this sort of committee review process right now, and because the Transportation Advisory Committee has, is not functioning, and there's a number of committees that like haven't met for 2 years, haven't had quorums for multiple years, like that has sort of met the definition for council to retire that committee. Now, I might recommend that this committee look at its charge and propose a rewritten charge that expands to include some of the Transportation Advisory Committee responsibilities. And that would be part of this consideration and adoption of our committee's policy, because we're linking all of the charges of all the committees, into this process. So it's clear to everybody, what council, like what you do, how you got that charge, whether that's through statute, with the charter, the council, a combination. And so I might recommend that you work on that over the summer, because we are working towards, updating this policy, getting these new systems in place here over the summer and fall. And to that end, part of what I was directed to do once I clean up the draft that's circulating is to put that out to all the committees for input. So none of the, it seems like a surprise now, but ultimately before it gets adopted, it won't be a surprise to you what it says and what your input is.
I have the summary that was submitted to the previous city manager, and I think I included Evelyn on it and maybe Sal as well. You mentioned that you had voted on it. So I have the summary that followed that meeting. It wasn't a specific change in charge, but it sort of summarized everything that this committee agreed upon and voted for. So I can recirculate that, or just to kind of refresh everybody's mind.
Yeah, I think we agreed to merge the two. So with all responsibilities of both coming together, but I think it'd be good to circulate that summary,
Yeah.
Corey.
Yeah, just as a refresher.
Yeah.
But I think that was also inclusive of people and bandwidth as a right. So
Yeah,
anyway,
it brought Donna with it, right?
Yeah. Okay. All right. Are we good to keep moving?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Alright.
yes.
So can I just measure?
Sure.
I wanted you to know that I did reach out to the South Burlington Bike and Ped Committee liaison, the staff liaison, just because it looks like the structure kind of operates the same way that we will now be operating without a Transportation Advisory Committee in a Bike Ped Committee. Without a Transportation Advisory Committee, just a Bike Ped Committee. So I wanted to kind of pick their brain and pick up anything I could about how that's functioning, how it's going, what are they missing. So I just wanted to extend, if someone wants to sit in on that with me and have that conversation, it's probably just going to be a remote conversation, 15, 20 minutes. I don't have a time set up, but wanted to throw it out there.
I think when
Maybe Go ahead.
No, I think we're going to say the same thing. Nancy, go ahead.
I was gonna say, when you set up the meeting with that individual, perhaps let us know.
Sure.
And if one of us can participate.
We will.
All right. Great. Well, thanks, Corey. All right. So moving to events, sponsoring Ticket to Ride, winter recycling workshop, Bevan or Holly.
Yeah. I can answer all of these events. They're all
Great,
tagged to
yes.
me. So whenever Bevan reaches out, we're supporting and promoting. And when we can, we will be there in person. But we are helping to promote May 15th, ride your bike to work or wherever, etc. So our charge is we agreed that we would promote Ticket to Ride and events, and we're doing that. We are not going to host this year an all ages and abilities learn to ride event for the spring and summer. Upon further consultation with Vermont Adaptive and with Bevan, who is going to be our bike instructor for that, there was no date that aligned for all of the resources and equipment to make that happen. And ultimately, it was recommended by those with more experience that we partner with existing well-established or more established events like the ones put on by Slate Valley Rail to Trail and Pulteney. I know Katrin down there, and so I will reach out to Katrin, investigate what would be involved when it happens, etc. But it might be our team strategy, given our limited capacity for some things, that we pile on to other existing events and we help enhance those and bring folks to those events. So that's that. I am still interested in bringing a speaker on parking to Montpelier. That's Henry Graber. His honorarium for that would be normally about $500. So I'm trying to figure out where we might get the $500 for that. And my last thing was just that May is Bicycle Month. So we should be reminding people that May is Bicycle Month. And as part of that, I will be announcing that we are a bike-friendly community, and we're tagged to the other things happening in May related to biking in Montpelier. So that's all on events. Any questions? I'm really glad that we're not doing the bike rodeo right now because the weather forecast is my nightmare for planning the bike rodeo. So I'm just really glad that that is now happening on an every other year basis. All right.
All right.
Nancy, I think you're up.
Yeah, advocacy, Nancy, e-bike statute with teeth.
Okay, so many of you may remember when Mike Philbrick came in to our meeting, spoke about, because the issue came up about bicycles on sidewalks. Just briefly, for the longest time, we believed that bicycles were not allowed in the downtown business district on sidewalks. And I used to teach that. And then Stan Brinkerhoff said that, oh, but the city dissolved its downtown business district. Technically, it doesn't exist. So anybody can ride on a sidewalk anywhere in Montpelier. I'm like, oh, great. Okay. So now what do we do? Because we have bad behavior. We have people riding e-bikes too fast. Well, A, on a sidewalk where they shouldn't be. B, too fast. People on a regular bike riding, adults irresponsibly. Anyway, so Mike came to our meeting, basically said he needs an ordinance with teeth or some sort of ordinance in order to respond to complaints of this nature. So we didn't resolve anything at that meeting. He subsequently emailed me recently and said, well, what's happening? Has your committee done anything about it? And I wrote back to him and said, not since you were here. Is there a community in the area, or are you aware of an ordinance that we could look at as a potential model? And then I didn't hear anything back. So I don't know, what to say at this point, except it's so late and we're already 15 minutes over, perhaps to kick this to the June meeting.
We can research it in the meantime, right, Nancy? We can research it.
Personally, I'd like to be able to give Mike something, a draft, that the city could consider, because I just, in the short time it's been spring, the relatively warm days where people are out on their bikes, I've had various experiences where I'm walking on the sidewalk and something zooms by me and I'm like, whoa, and it's a person on a bike. So I don't think the behavior is going away. And currently the police don't have anything to stand on. Am I right about that? I mean,
maybe this ties in with the South Burlington.
So I've done the research. I've been able to go back into the records, and when the ordinance was approved, look at what the map looked like then compared to what it looks like now. My hope was we could just take out central business district and put in urban center district. The differences are too big. Back then the central business district didn't even include the capital complex district. So that
Okay,
would be removed. So, and then there's extensions to the east and the west and the south that they're different. The zones are different now. So it's
right.
not gonna be as easy as just replacing the.
But mostly the bad behavior occurs between, the dangerous behavior.
I know, I get it. But I'm just looking at legally, something we can enforce. I've been working with the chief. We think there's a possibility, we might want to get legal advice on it, but we think there's a possibility, even though it says central business district and that doesn't exist anymore, that was still built off a boundary, which we know what that boundary is, and could still be enforceable as written.
If we just change the name.
It may not even need to be changed.
Well, great.
So we should have something for you at the next meeting, or even before that.
A quote draft ordinance.
Or decision on if it could be enforced the way it is.
Great.
Could we layer on to that? Not to complicate that if it's too complicated, but the fact that the recreation path says no motorized vehicles, and I recently witnessed 2 motorized scooters flying down that in front of the co-op. So I don't know how recreation path factors because it's not a sidewalk, but that also has to be considered for enforcement. They were not bikes, they were 2 20-somethings on scooters and they were flying. So it's a question, it doesn't have to get answered tonight. How does the recreation path factor into this?
Can I ask for some clarity? Is the goal relative to the type of vehicle or bicycle, or is it like a speed limit
It's safety for pedestrians.
thing?
I think an e-bike by its nature is more dangerous.
Heavy.
The
Yeah.
weight, the speed they can achieve, there are speed limits on, I was riding, ridden for the past 5 years in Florida, they have speed limits on the bike paths,
Mhm.
20 miles per hour, which is still crazy
That's
fast,
fast,
very crazy fast,
especially for older people.
because there's been explosion of
Right.
so they've had to add speed limits on a bike path.
But we're not
Wow.
talking about just e-bikes either.
Right, right.
This
Yeah,
could be its whole own meeting. So
Usually requests for legal advice come through me, and so understanding what the goals are would be helpful. If it's relative to no bicycles on sidewalks in a certain portion of the city, and then, no electric vehicles on rec pads in a different portion of the city, it would just help. Or a speed limiter, it would just help me to understand.
It's all existing. All of what we're talking about is not new. It's what has existed previously. So it's the recreation path is already labeled. There's official signage, right? No motorized vehicles. So that's not changing. It's just how does it get enforced or reported?
right, but let's distinguish, we're not talking about, grandma on her e-bike, not being able to ride on the bike path in Montpelier.
Absolutely not.
Right, we're talking about, and I think national parks, I don't know if that's changing, distinguish between a bike with a throttle and a bike without. And bikes with throttles, I believe, have been forbidden in most, national parks. So, I mean, that's one layer of distinction.
Yes, Nancy, and that's the city's e-bike policy as of 2025. It's class 1 e-bikes are permitted and they do not have a throttle. Class 2 and class 3 electric bikes are not permitted on the Montpelier Parks trails. That's what it says. And it says class 1 e-bikes are permitted wherever traditional biking is allowed.
Okay, that's appropriate, because the others are, it's more like a motorcycle.
Right. Right.
Thank you.
okay, we're at nearly 20 minutes over. Let's see. I'm gonna propose like status of Country Club Road. That's a whole. I think we need more time on that. Big question. And our role and committee's position. Crosswalk painting prioritization. I don't know if that's something that we talk about quickly.
That basically, first, I'm thrilled to see the lines are being put out, so they're preparing to paint when the weather is paintable. So that's great, and I just always want to make the case that I think key intersections, key dangerous intersections like Main and Barry should get priority, and mid-block crosswalks like we have across the street from the senior center and schools should be, and for whatever reason, that's not always the case. Like I've seen crosswalks up at College Street have been done. So I just want to always, lobby for the most dangerous places to be done first.
Okay. Corey, is there anything you want to add there, or?
Yeah, downtowns and schools are the priority. The College Street is our test, our first day out, make sure we have all our signs, our traffic control, our machines working. The rest is the next to the schools and downtowns.
Okay, great. All right, I'm going to propose, unless someone has anything burning for infrastructure, we move that to June, and that we bring this meeting to a close.
I second.
Well, Nancy, you're tagged for all of these. Is there anything that you'd like us to address this evening?
I guess I would just request that, I don't know if do we have Carolyn, are you chair next month or is David?
Carolyn is chair and I'm co-chair starting next month.
So my request is that those items under infrastructure get at
Go
the top
top.
agenda, because the stuff that's at the end just frequently gets short shrift.
Yep. Done.
Okay. All right. So
I'm
Okay.
just wondering if I'm gonna be chair next, I'd love to talk to somebody to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly. in
Carolyn,
setting-
we should meet because I'm going to be your co-chair. So you and I can get together and I'll make sure I'll set you up for a solid first go at being chair.
Okay, that would be great. Thank you.
okay, let's do all the things the opposite of what I did. All right. So
John, thank you for standing in for David on short notice.
Oh,
We
God.
appreciate that.
Okay. All right. So what do we move?
I just- okay.
Go ahead.
I
Go
just
ahead.
wanted to make a request. There was a lot of stuff that I tried to get down as best I can, but I think it's really important for everyone to carefully read the minutes and make sure that I didn't state anything.
And
Will
just
do.
by way of, the regs, the minutes have to be to Evelyn within 5 days.
Right.
Mhm.
I'm
So
gonna
we
try and
have
do
to
it
come
tonight.
to us first.
It goes to, I guess it will go to John Kim first, and then it goes.
And
to
John
everybody.
just technically
Right.
to him, he distributes
Right.
to us, and it all has to happen within 5
Right.
days to get to Evelyn in time.
Right.
Not that anyone, except perhaps Steve Whitaker, would notice, but that's the way we're
Right.
supposed to do it.
Yep,
Okay. Sounds good. All right. It's 7:08. I move to adjourn this meeting.
Second.
Great. All those in favor? All
Aye.
right.
Bye.
All right.
Thanks,
Thanks,
everyone.
everybody.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
I'll take that as a compliment, Nancy.